I'm Raquel, and I'm here with David Fishof with his new book, Rock Your Business, representing Rock and Roll Industry Magazine. And David, so nice to have you out here. Now you're living out here in LA.
Thank God after that last week craziness.
I know, were you out here before?
No, I moved out here 4 years ago.
Oh, 4 years, okay, great.
Mark Burnett contacted me about doing Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp as a TV series.
Yeah.
And so I decided.
VH1, right?
Yeah, VH1 Classic. And
That's awesome.
I've always wanted to live out here, so I had a reason to come out here. I'm a New Yorker through and through, and I'm so glad. I love it. I love the weather. I love life.
Oh,
I like.
It's beautiful. The
it's a
warm
great
weather.
place. The warm
it was
weather's
like
great.
80 degrees, 90 today.
I know. I feel bad for everybody back in New York.
No, definitely is terrible. But now you're closer to Vegas. So do you play guitar? Are you out there? Do you make visits from New York to Vegas?
No, I make visits from here.
Or the last 4 years,
yeah,
right?
I've been commuting a lot back and forth to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that I needed to have a permanent place for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. I was doing them in the London Abbey Road studios.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing it here in LA, in New York. So I needed to have a permanent place. So I decided Las Vegas is home of fantasy, and I'm in the fantasy business.
Is.
And so I created at least a building there, and I built 12 rehearsal studios.
Oh my goodness.
2 minutes from the MGM Grand.
Yeah, I was reading on
And
that.
we have a couple studios during camp on the MGM floor.
Mm-hmm.
Campers play live every night at the MGM.
Oh, awesome.
And it's very exciting. Yeah, so this is our second camp coming up. It'll be great.
So when you say they play live, is people get to go in? Do other people, like an audience, get to watch it?
Every night. It's
Oh
packed.
my
It's
gosh.
5 feet deep. And
Where are you advertising this? Because this is awesome. We definitely
This
want
is
to put
great.
this in the
Yes.
magazine and promote that. I didn't know that.
At every camp, we're going to be playing at the Rouge Lounge.
Okay.
And Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And every night's a surprise guest star. It's a surprise rocker that jams with the campers. So
that's
this
awesome.
week, John Popper is going to play with them this Sunday
He's
night.
gonna show up.
And you can jam and see John Popper play with the bands. Last week, Zach Wilde. He was amazing.
Zach Wilde's great. Yeah, we had him on the cover a couple of months ago. So is any of that in this book? How you got started with Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp?
Yes, in the book, I tell the story about why I created the camp.
Okay.
I also tell stories about my years as a sports agent.
Yeah.
And I wrote the book because I felt
first book.
my first book, right? But I continue some stories here.
Okay.
I decided to write the book because I wanted to give people who have ideas how to take their ideas and make it happen. So many people are walking around with that $1 million idea.
Yes.
And 30,000 of them are applying to Shark Tank. And
Yeah.
they want to know, how do I take this idea that I created and make it happen? So I decided I'm going to share what I've done, lessons I've learned from rock and roll, and show people some ideas on how to do it.
Can you share some of those lessons right now? Give me one of the craziest story with some rock musicians that turned into a lesson. Maybe is either here
so
or
many of
something.
them. One of them is if you have an idea
Okay.
and you want to make the idea, you want to know if it's worthwhile. Well, try to see if you can barter it. Like I, for example, go to different radio stations and say, hey, are you interested in doing a promotion with Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp? And if they're interested, that's great. I go to a music company, an instrument company. Are you interested? So I went to Fender, I went to Gibson. They said yes. Roland said yes. So now I know I have a good idea. Now, when I produced Mortal Kombat as a live tour, I couldn't find anyone who wanted to partner with me on it. And everyone was afraid of violence. And I said, violence? I kept teasing everybody, it was violence. And there's no violence in the show. But truth is, it didn't do well for me because I couldn't find an audience. I couldn't find an audience that wanted to attend it.
Sure.
And I did find a lot of kids.
Yeah,
but
the kids, what I was going to say.
the parents
the
wouldn't
kids
let
were
them come
parents.
because
Oh,
they were
really?
afraid of the violence.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was hard to find a corporate sponsor. So, the book shares a lot of, successes, have some failures, because you don't get through anything in life without having some failures.
Turn over those obstacles.
Right.
I actually heard you on KLOS. I'm a big fan, so I heard you on the morning talk show, and you talked about Mortal Kombat. And I played that when I was younger, Nintendo.
Right.
Right. So
And the movie came out, was great.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the live tour was a great idea.
Sure.
Just what happened was it was timing also. The movie was supposed to come out in August 1st. It did come out this September 1. The live show came out September 1. So the timing was bad. And I think that's
timing
one thing.
is everything.
Timing's everything.
Do you talk about that as well?
Yes,
Because,
I do.
yeah,
I talk about that
I'm
in
a
the
big
book.
believer in timing. And
Yeah.
synchronicity, like I'm thinking all this bringing it, together right now plays a big part. So, bringing music. So when I was first looking into it in this book, it's not just about helping out the rock star. It's about helping out maybe the businessman, the businesswoman. How do they?
This is totally about taking people who come to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. They're mainly executives.
And what I've learned, afford it, right?
Yeah, can afford it, and then, we take a lot of soldiers in. We take people in.
Oh, that's great.
But what I've learned is, being in a band. The success of being in a band is learning to listen. You learn about creativity in the book. I talk about all the aspects of rock and roll and being in music. How to promote. You mentioned Gene Simmons. I mean, he's a perfect example of someone who's taken. He's a genius. He literally is a genius, and a man who has. People look at him as such a businessman. And I said to him the other day when he came to camp, I said, you're incredible as a musician. People don't even look at you that way. As a producer, he has Simmons Records, and the business stuff shines. He said, hey, there's a lot of musicians out there. There's not a lot of great businessmen. But you can learn a lot from Gene. You can learn a lot from bands like you, too. You can learn from Dave Matthews Band. And in my book has lots of examples what you can learn from various bands.
Yes, I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned creativity. There was some interview on you that I was reading about creativity. Tell me about your take, because that's what you want to do. You want to bring the person in front of the fantasy. So yeah, tell me more about that. I'm really interested in creativity.
So I'm reading Pete Townshend's book, and in there he talks about him doing the book called The Artist's Way, the very famous book, to get out his creativity. I really believe that everyone has the creativity inside of them, but so many people are blocked, and until you can find ways to get rid of that blockage and that freedom, it's hard to be creative. And I talk about that in the book, Fear. People are very fearful of a lot of to take an idea and go ahead with it. So I think that the book really, will help people get over obstacles. I have no reason not to tell people the truth.
I like it.
So I think sharing my stories, will help people.
I think that's awesome. Do you have any more stops on your book tours?
Yes, we're going to Orange County.
Perfect. I'm from Orange County. Where are you going to be? I'll be there again.
Barnes & Nobles, December 21, I think I'm there.
Okay.
I've been doing interviews, waking up early in the morning. Unfortunately, because I'm so busy in camp, and the book came out at the same time as Vegas, so I'll start doing more promoting of it in 2013. But the book's doing great, and I'm getting get great response, and just happy to be here tonight. And
congratulations. We're definitely happy to be here as well. Do you want to tell us anything else about Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp? Next year, you got Alice Cooper coming up. What are your other big names?
Yeah, Roger Daltrey's coming to camp.
Great.
Dave Navarro. Steve Vai just signed on today.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, he's on the cover of your magazine.
Yes, he is.
Steve's done my camp before. Zach will be back.
Awesome.
I have so many great musicians. Boy, I'm just thinking about them. Besides Sammy Hagar is coming, and the Wabos. He's bringing his band with him. And the guys from Dream Theater, Jordan Rudis will be there. Mike Portnoy will be there, and so many. Every day I'm announcing new stars, and I think that's what makes what makes the camp great. It's not that it's the you as a fan, the fans love it, but the rockers love it. They love meeting the people. Roger's done my camp 8 times. And he wouldn't come back if he didn't think it was great. Nick Mason from Pink Floyd came to the camp for 2 hours, and he stayed for 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
Slash, he came for a few hours. He was supposed to come for a few hours. He stayed for 10 hours, and then showed up to my next one. So it's been really amazing. And I think what it is, it reminds these rockers of what it was like when they first started, and about the love of music. And I love to ask so many of them. So what, if you had an opportunity, if you had a fantasy, who would you want to play with? So I'm going to turn it to you. Who's the favorite musician that you could sit here and would be your fantasy?
Well,
or you want to jam with us?
I'm an Ozzy Osbourne fanatic, so I mean Zach Wilde would be great, but I mean Ozzy's John 5. I know he was there. I'd love to play guitar with him. I would love to play guitar with him sometime. Okay. So having this is so awesome that there's that opportunity to give people in front of the rock stars and play and jam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you, meet you.
And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm Raquel here with David, and this is Rock and Roll Industry Magazine signing off. Thanks a lot.